Hi there, everyone. My name is Rashad Burrows, and I am an account executive with Bluescape. I'm here today to show you all a little bit more about organizing workspaces. One of the things that we see is that a lot of times folks look at this big kind of blank canvas and they get a little bit nervous, right? They're like, where do I start? I want to create a masterpiece. How do I go from blank to something a little bit more organized and useful within my organization? So that's what I'll be talking about here today and sharing with you all. And as always, if you've got any questions or any thoughts to share with us, please visit bluescape.com. So with that in mind, you're probably already used to seeing these big blank spaces, like I said. What I wanted to do was actually take this and make a little bit more robust workspace that I actually use for my own personal organization within my sales kind of role here at Bluescape. So the first thing that I thought about was this. Within Bluescape, we've got these really great canvases, these really great quadrants, these four natural quadrants, the positive, kind of the first quadrant, the second quadrant, the third, and the fourth. And as you can see, I've labeled all of these with note cards, and I've given them all names, and I've also labeled the axes as well. So you've got the first quadrant, the second, the third, and the fourth. And so what you'll notice is I've got it numbered 1.0, tasks and projects. So not surprisingly, this is where all my tasks and projects live. One other kind of second level to this, as far as creating a taxonomy or a naming system to make it easier to navigate around, is that all of the different pieces within my, all the different canvases within my quadrants are numbered 1.1, 1.2, and so on. So you can see here, 1.1 is my daily and weekly tasks, the first thing that I go to all the time. All the green note cards up here at the top are going to be low priority items that are going to get done probably this week. Medium to priority here in the yellow, probably today, and red items like need to get done as soon as possible right now. And then when I get something done very quickly and easily, I go ahead and change the color to black, whoop, and we're good to go, right? So all of my done live there as well, so I can see what I've been doing and tell my boss that I've been productive today. The second piece I have in this, in my tasks and projects, is actually my projects canvas. So this is just kind of an example of it. I've got a lot more of these in my actual version of this, but you get the idea. So it's going to be longer term things, maybe stuff that I'm going to get done this month as opposed to this week. And again, for all of these, this is in the top right, this first quadrant. So not a coincidence that this blue note card here, tasks and projects, coincides with blue canvases up here for those actual tasks and projects. So very helpful to me to keep myself organized in that respect. So there's my tasks and projects. You can see, just like in the first quadrant, here in the second quadrant, it's all of my use cases. So just different pieces of content that I'm going to use over and over again that I don't have to recreate. It might seem like all of these are brand new and from scratch, but the secret is, if you have content that you keep using over and over, store it so you can go back to it really quickly and easily, just like I do. So a simple example of that, different workspace assets. So I'll zoom in here, simple things from calendars to kind of tack up boards to mimic what that does in real life, and including transparencies. Really, really great for taking other images and other content and actually attaching those together. If I want to have multiple pieces and make sure they continue to live together, it's just that easy. So just a couple of tools that I use here in my workspace assets over and over and over. One that I use pretty much every day is a meeting template. Simple enough. So I've got my attendees, a quick agenda, maybe some content that we might need to use in that meeting, a Word document, a PowerPoint, and then also a quick to-do list. So just like my tasks, red means we need to do it today, ASAP. Yellow, a little bit less important, and then green would be a kind of nice to have if we can get it done before the next meeting. And as with all meetings, there's going to be another one. So what's really beautiful about this is that I can take the entire canvas, duplicate it, and now I can just make adjustments from that last meeting. New attendees, change the agenda up a little bit with minimal effort. Pretty valuable and saving time there. Couple of other ones that I'll show you here as well. Again, a kind of a bigger, more robust calendar, as well as the home organizer. Because again, I'm going to repurpose this. So we can take this exact same template, and maybe for my team, I need it to be, team projects or team accounts or quarterly goals, whatever it is. You can repurpose this to whatever ends you need to and use the same kind of basic structure. moving right along here, back to the beginning. So that's our first two quadrants. The third is for prospects and the fourth is for clients. So obviously I can't show you my real list here, but you get the idea. I can slide down here and show an example of a cool prospect. And guess what? There's my meeting template. Those are living within this same piece. I've got up top kind of my general who's involved in the opportunity or involved in the relationship, and then just notes, simple enough. And then for all of them, I like to put just a quick and simple, what's the next step? So this note card here is changing every day, every week, depending on where we are within a given relationship. Pretty straightforward. And then what's really great about this is that eventually, if I'm doing my job right, these are going to go from being a prospect over here in the bottom left to being a client over here in the bottom right. And when that happens, it's very easy for me to say, okay, let's just go ahead and grab this, slide it on over, and take it to the bottom of my list, and go ahead and add them in. So all I'm doing is taking that exact same content, all the notes, all the engagements that we've had from day one to the end of the, when the paper's dry, the ink is dried, and simply change the color, because my bottom right is all in this nice green color, and change the name. So I'm going to change this to 4.7, since this is my 7th client that I've closed here this quarter. And now this content is right there where I need it to be for future engagements as we go on. Jumping back to the origin here, last couple of pieces that are really cool. So that kind of talks about the quadrants. But what about the actual axes themselves? I very specifically chose these 4 kind of groups because I know that tasks and projects can get very wide. It could be a lot of content I need to get a project done. Same thing with the use cases and the content here. Same thing with prospects and clients. But there are some things that I go back to and content I use a lot that's going to be relatively small and simple. So to me, one of the things that I need to see all the time is a calendar. Pretty easy one for me. And so I chose this positive x-axis because a calendar obviously can keep going and going and going. So this calendar goes all the way through the end of the year and into 2019. Last couple of pieces that I chose to add in here, up to the positive y-axis is what I call suspects. No, nobody's committed a crime. From what I know, this is going to be people, businesses that I want to engage with to become future prospects and future clients before I've actually engaged in outreach. So this is just a simple list of note cards for me. So there we go. And so I've got company 1, company 2, et cetera, all the way down the list. One of my personal favorites is over here in the negative x-axis, and I call it shower thoughts, right? Just cool ideas you have in the middle of the night, you roll over and you jot them down. I throw mine in my workspace. So for example, a couple months back, we had a good idea to make a March Madness workspace using Bluescape. Guess what? It got done. It's just a place that I save ideas for myself. And then last but certainly not least, in our 8th section here, as you can see, I've got just different kind of general content. So an example of this is going to be keyboard shortcuts, right? This is something that every single time I have a new prospect, a new client that I'm working with, I want to make sure that they know the different controls in the web tool as well as up here on the wall. And so, hey, instead of me going and making this brand new from scratch every time, I literally copy all this content, drop it in the new workspace. Really easy, really simple. So that's about it. It's really a very basic concept that you can mold and shape in any sort of way that you need. And we'd love to hear feedback from you and new ideas on how you can change this and you can shape workspaces to fit your needs. We're here to help you. Please reach out at www.bluescape.com. Thank you much.